All right, we need Kylie's video on, is that right? Okay. All right, cool. All right. Well, I think we are live. Everybody's here. Excited to have Zoom IQ on with us here with Rev Genius. We got a super topical, conversation to have today around meeting your new assistant sales coach, AI. So obviously, AI has been on everybody's minds. It's been the topic of conversation across everything these days. You guys were obviously out ahead of the curve a little bit with this, and so super great timing on it. Excited to see what you guys all have to say about it. Let's start off, go around the room. Everybody want to do a quick introduction, and then we can jump into everything. Mark, do you want to kick it off?
I'm happy to
DJ.
kick it off. Yeah,
Well,
thanks, Jason. So, hey, everybody, I'm Mark Costaglo. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of Catalyst Software, and happy to talk about AI stuff with Zoom.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Dotson. I run go-to-market enablement and strategy at Zoom. Super excited to be here and with both Mark and VJ to talk about something super fun and exciting.
Awesome. My name is Vijay. I'm the head of AI here at Zoom. We do many things AI at Zoom. And I'm super excited to be here to talk about sales coaching and Zoom IQ.
all right. I believe you guys have some slides to take through and some stuff, and then we'll open it up for a panel discussion after.
Sounds good. Okay. I'm super excited here to talk about sales coaching and how AI can help now and in the future, right? So first, let me start by saying I'm not an expert in sales by any means. You all are. I'm just an AI person. So if my pitch is not that great, talk to my team, right? I mean, they are much better, and Michelle later will talk more about it. Let's define the problem a little bit, right? So not all sales calls are the same. There are patterns a successful sales rep use, and that can be coached to others to be more successful. It's industry. It's known in the industry that it takes 3 to 4 months for a salesperson to get onboarded. Accelerating that will help everyone be more productive and faster revenue growth, right? So it's not only that, right? I mean, it's also when product change, the market change, there are new features, there is need for continuous coaching. The enablement team plays a critical role in communicating it across. And if you are more prepared, it means more a better sales call. And that also helps in seeing better performance, overall performance, and helps reduce attrition, right? So basically, better coaching, efficient coaching, and better coaching is what we wanted to talk about. But if that is the case, why not do more coaching, right? So everyone is busy, not enough time to coach, and it's also known. It's also known that only 14% of the 14% of the time managers spend coaching their teams. Training materials get old, and we all need a refresher as some product and market changes. Coaching can prepare existing reps on new products, new features, new objections, etc. And it's also hard to measure, right? So there is so many. I mean, if you spend 8 hours of calls and work and trying to measure it in a shorter period, or that 40% the managers spend, it's a bit hard. Better coaching before your calls will help handle objections, etc. Right? So better coaching will make you more prepared, more productive, and deliver more wins. So yeah, so I think AI tools exist in the market. Zoom IQ is a product, and there is many other products in the market to do post-call analysis. These products use automatic speech recognition to recognize voice and understand video analysis to understand content within the meeting to provide you call analysis. It can automatically summarize the call for you to quickly glance at it and try to understand what this call is all about. You can jump to different sections of the call. It gives you metrics on individual speakers, etc. So there is a rich set of feature for an individual or a sales rep to go and look at where they have to improve or review the call in general. They can also share this call across the organization. You can create playlists. You can comment on particular section, and it also goes into coaching, right? I mean, not just the manager. Everyone in the company can comment on calls. Your team members can comment on calls and give you feedback, and that's for a person's development and also for other people to learn from people's mistakes and also the success, right? So then there is also like for sales leaders, they can of course look at their team's performance during these calls. There's also analysis which they can do. They can set up topics which they are interested in, the competitors they are interested in, and look at metrics across the organization, right? So these calls are also organized per deal. If you also import email and chat, then you have a richer information for a deal. This information is also posted back into the CRMs, etc. So you can view it with other tools outside of these post-call analysis tools. But you can also identify risks and have a better view of where the deal stands. And if there is like when you see the deal as a whole and you don't see a follow-up, etc., you can go back and follow up on those. And when there are too many deals which you are dealing with, or having your view, better analysis will help, right? So, and it is not just limited by one thing. So meaning like you can, these tools are very customizable, and you can set up your own tools. And last January, we announced coaching. So this is going ahead of a call and talking about like, can we actually coach the person before joining the call, right? And make them more prepared. So of course there is AI in it too. So in general, you can set up a question and answer, right? I mean, the answer could be an approximate answer. And there is you can go into this coaching session and talk to a virtual agent, right? So this is a virtual avatar which looks like a human, and it's getting better and better over a period of time. It will get better and better over a period of time, and it will be more personable, right? So, and you can have a conversation with it, and with the sample answer, we try to score it across multiple metrics. And you can do this over and over again, and this will help you be more prepared for the next call, right? So this is one thing which we announced back in January, and these tools, what I'm more excited is about the future, right? So the future of how we can help a coaching session be applied in real life. There are in-meeting features which we also announced where it can give you links when you are talking about a topic which you want help on. It can guide you towards an answer, etc. Right, during a meeting, so you are more prepared. And if instead of like following up with a link, if the link is right there, you can start sharing and talking about it. And the idea is to have you more focus on those calls and get you more prepared. And I'm more excited about like the future where the AI can look at your call and look at the coaching session and the ideal answer and how you can improve, and whether how you scored in your coaching session and how you are doing now. And this becomes more personable for that person, and he can pick and choose what needs to be done for a better next step. So I'm super excited for everything which we are doing now and for the future. From here, I'll give it to Michelle.
Thank you, BJ. I know AI can be very exciting and maybe a little different for some of you. I was very fortunate to come to Zoom where they were all about it. They wanted to use it. They saw the need to scale. They saw the need to be modern. And we have launched some really amazing programs at Zoom using AI. One of the things that we do, and I think we do really well, is we use AI to personalize all of our learning. So using data, creating really custom role-based learning through AI has been something that's been really successful. I think you all know Zoom had a little bit of a uptick in the past couple of years, and we had to scale really quickly. There was a big demand, and people needed to learn as quickly as possible. And so meeting our learners where they were, using AI to understand their strengths and weaknesses, creating a real scenario in which they could practice was critical for us in our programs, and to get our sellers really ready for what they needed to do in the field. We also use AI, not just from giving us data about our learners, we use AI to customize the learning and really like localize it. So they're learning from somebody that is speaking their language. They are learning the exact skill that they need to use to sell into a certain vertical or a certain market. So that's been really helpful for us and allows our training programs to be, I think, better received and see adoption in the field pretty quickly. And then when we talk about coaching, one thing that I think, and Mark, I'm sure will tell us a lot about just sales coaching in general, but using AI, the biggest value I see for sales coaching is you get objective feedback from your managers to help coach your reps. Now, salespeople can be type A personalities. They have their certain qualities. Maybe they're a manager today, but they are going to coach their rep to be just like them. And maybe they're really passionate and emotional about it. Using AI levels that. Using AI really gives you a way to standardize and give unbiased feedback as a manager. And just almost ensure that the coaching that you want to see, the behaviors that you want to see corrected, can be addressed. What we also like is to arm our managers. And so we use AI, we use data to serve up for our managers a profile. So is your rep strong in one area and not in the other? And here's a plan for you to help make them even better. So taking the data and insights and giving it to our managers so that they can help coach has also been something that we've been doing here at Zoom. And then I kind of touched on scale, but the larger your teams, the more markets you're in, every time you launch a new product, it's really important to make sure that you can get to all those sellers and get to all those customers and prospects as quickly as possible. For us, creating a way to do that, we would have needed a lot more people on the team. And so what we did is we used AI. We use AI to instantly localize, to instantly translate into many languages. We use AI just to help us roll things out and help certify where our managers maybe don't have the time to do that. And so for us, it went from taking weeks or months to launch training and enablement into a week a couple days in some instances, because we were using AI to truly scale across our global organization. So as I mentioned, these are just a couple ways today at Zoom where we're using AI, and we see it to be extremely positive. But that's what I wanted to share with you guys.
All right, so let's open it up to the panel. This is obviously super topical, not just because of the AI conversations going on, but everybody right now is trying to do so much more with so much less. And arguably, the piece that broke the most of anything here over the last year and a half plus is, that sales, and in particular, like outbound BDR motion. I've managed BDRs for most of my career, and I'm here to tell you, like, it's been very rare that I've had sufficient resources to properly train them. And I feel awful about that every time. It's like, I am not equipping you for success, but then I'm still holding you accountable for being successful. So the fact that you guys are building this is absolutely near and dear to my heart. It's awesome to be able to see this. So, definitely want to hear some more about it. What are some of the things that you've seen have been particularly effective? Because, I mean, the thing with AI, anybody that plays around with it learns very quickly, is it's not universal. Like, you got to be careful about when and where, and be, sophisticated about how you use it. And so what are the use cases where this has been the best fit?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about it. AI in general is getting really good over the past year or so, and we see an acceleration in adoption too, right? I mean, if you look at like 3 years ago, these tools, the post-call analysis tools, were not that accurate because the ASR technology or the AI underneath it was not matured enough, and we have gotten to a place where it is as good as like humans in recognizing voice, right? So of course it's only in English, and other languages we are still working on, and there is still challenges there, but it has gotten to a place where it is much more usable, right? So and it's the same thing with like ChatGPT and all the other OpenAI technologies and large language models. It has gotten to a place where it can write really well, right? I mean, it can help you write emails, it can write things, but like it's not ready to do everything, but you have to still review it. And we wanted to help bring these technologies to help you be more productive, right? So if you can take an additional call a day because your things are automated, that's a win, right? If that is a 10% win, then that's a better thing for the company, for yourself, and everything, right? I mean, that's where the technology will really help in making people more productive.
Absolutely.
I think there's a use case here where AI is going to help us serve our customers better, because typically you are just using like one person, one manager, one sales leader to say, hey BDR, hey rep, that wasn't good, let me tell you how to do it. And with AI, you can take millions of examples, millions of calls, millions of managers' experience and customers' needs, and like desired outcomes that they want, and you can get coaching. And I would rather be coached by millions of people than one person who might not necessarily really vibe with how I want to sell in the field. Now, that's a benefit. The kind of downside to that, or where it can become a crutch, is that doesn't work for everybody. And so the use case I think we still have to be careful with is, can you scale? Can you customize? Can you get all this? You're going to get a lot of feedback. It's a lot of input, but you still need to define and really focus for your teams. As a manager, it might make you second guess maybe some of the stuff that you would have coached initially. So I think it's just finding the balance of, like, there's so much information. It's going to give me the best of the best. And then what do I do with that with my teams? That's really important with AI.
Just out of professional curiosity, what was your training model for the AI? I'm always fascinated by that because I've been dealing with, or at least on the fringes of AI for most of my career. So, just out of my own professional curiosity, what was your training model?
training model depends upon the use case. So there is at least 15, 20 ML models we run in IQ, specifically for IQ for sales. And there is also like more we add, like we just announced ChatGPT integration for writing emails on the deals page, where you have most of the context of like what are the follow-ups which I need to do, etc. Right? So for coaching, we use like models. I mean, natural language understanding models to like what Michelle was talking about, like looking through multiple calls and then identifying patterns, newer patterns which are emerging. Right? I mean, a lot of people might be focused on cost in this environment, right? So is that pattern, are you prepared for that in the next call? So can we actually show these to the leaders so they can prepare their teams better, right? So depending upon the problem, like the search problem or new pattern problem or like writing, etc., we choose the right model. So end of the day, the user just want things to work, right? So we choose different models for that. ASR, for example, we use a couple of models to recognize one for the live transcript, where the speed of transcription is more important. One for the offline, where like the accuracy is more important.
Excuse my geeking out for a second. We do have a question from the audience, and I think it's a great one to kind of cut to how you guys are doing things a little different, which is, how would you differentiate this from tools like Gong or Chorus that people have been using for a long time to help enable sales coaching?
Yeah, so I think like sales coaching from those tools have been on the post-call analysis, which we do too, right? I mean, but like the ritual coaching and identifying pattern across the meeting. I mean, from the coaching all the way to when you are actually in a call and how you are doing. I don't think like they're looking at it now. They will be looking at it in the future. I mean, as an industry, we are moving towards that. So I think like that's a big differentiator at this point in time. And the accuracy of the models are also much better, right? So they might say or claim, but we have some numbers, I guess.
Got it.
I would say, like, I know I work at Zoom. I love Zoom. I love my job. Thank you. I'd like to say that first. But I'd also say I've used Chorus, I've used Gong, and now we use Zoom IQ for sales. And there's all these great things that the teams are building. But to be able to have all of this where I am working every day in the client is also a game changer for me in a product that works really well. We all now sell virtually. Like, that is the world we're in. I know some of us might have had to go back, but for me to be in my client real time, getting analytics, getting the coaching that I need, that's a little different than having to use multiple different tools and piece things together. So they all work. They're all great. They all do different things. For me, it's been really nice to have it in the tool that I'm asking my sellers to use to sell.
Mark, I'm interested to hear how you guys have been leveraging it.
How do we use AI in coaching? We don't. I don't use it right now. Listen, I think that there's some very interesting applications that interest me. So I recently read that 90% of sales managers and reps agree that sales coaching is the highest leverage activity that can help them produce better results. I also read that 80% of sales reps feel like they don't get adequate coaching in terms of quality or quantity. And then I also know that the most overworked role in the entire sales org is the frontline sales manager, who's also responsible for sales coaching. So what we have the convergence of three big problems that nobody seems to be able to solve, because listen, we've now had years of being able to listen to calls live. I've always been able, at the very least, to ride with my reps and listen to what they do. And we've probably had for the last decade conversational intelligence tools that can do recordings automatically that we can listen to at any time. Yet still reps feel like they're not getting enough coaching, and managers don't feel like they have the time to slot in more coaching. So my hope is that AI can bridge that gap. They can leverage the calls that need to be coached most. They can highlight the key moments that the team is having problems with en masse so that we can do larger scale coaching efforts versus everything individually. And so my hope is that VJ can unlock some of these real choke points that are one reason I'm convinced that most salespeople struggle to ramp quickly and be successful in their careers is unless you have that one manager or that one rep that's your buddy, or that you're just a self-starter that just figures it out, you really have the world pushing against your success. And so I'm excited to see how AI comes into this coaching category. I haven't seen it. And there's a lot of companies that say they do it. Like, listen, Gong, great company. They say they do AI. Come on now, y'all. A call recording in a call recording library where they search the transcript for the words I'm saying is not AI. All right. So I'm not using that, so I think that there's a lot of false claims out there that aren't helping with the main problem, which is the manager don't have time, but the rep needs needs the coaching. And until you solve that, then we're always going to have a disconnect, and reps are always going to feel like they're not supported enough.
Mark, I love that, and I wanted to share one thing that we saw at Zoom. We saw a lot of that, and the one thing I think AI has helped us do is you're a rep, and your manager's coaching you, and like the shame, the fear, the anxiety of like, how am I going to do this? And I got to pitch live to the customer for the first time. We've removed that. So a lot of what you're saying is everything you said is accurate of how we use it. And then we're removing them from the real life scenario. We are giving them a place to practice. And I would much rather pitch and practice with an AI avatar, than my boss, right? And so we're seeing people actually take the coaching, apply the coaching, use the tech, spend hours practicing, and take that and apply it and be really successful in the field. So I love what you're saying of the benefits there. And we specifically saw that here at Zoom with our reps, spending hours practicing with this, like their imaginary friend, but it got them so much better at what we needed them to do.
There's a really strong sales principle that I would say gets violated 99% of the time. And that's don't practice on buyers.
Yep.
Yet the place where most reps try new stuff, do new things, try to get good is right in front of the buyer. And that is putting you at a disadvantage. Now, huge props and pats on the back for reps brave enough to try to change things in an environment where they can't find practice moments on their own. Or, we all know, listen, the role play kind of stinks, right? That's what we got right now. It's like, I'm going to call up Michelle. Ring, ring, Michelle. And then Michelle's going to say something that nobody will ever say to me on the phone ever. And then she's going to let me through because she feels bad for me because I'm struggling. And we don't really learn much of anything other than how a call will never go, right? So I think this is another example of something that bridges a gap that we just can't seem to figure out how to do with humans, and you can't do by yourself, which is, how do I get rapid fire, real call stuff that's not happening live with buyers where I can actually get good? So I coached all my kids' sport teams. I have 4 kids. I coached every sport team up until junior high school. When I say I've been in tens of thousands of games in tens of thousands of hours of practice, I am not exaggerating. So I've done a bunch of stuff. And this is what I found is there's 2 ways to coach. There's how you coach in the game, and there's how you coach at practice. And in a game, if you're getting slacks from your manager about how to do stuff better, you're off. You don't play good. Every time I talk to a kid and be like, hey, you need to do this. Don't forget that. This kid does this. So he's left-handed. So make sure you shade on the left-hand side. Don't let him go left. Every time I do stuff like that, the kids would get in their head. And the next thing I know, they'd be tripping over themselves and the game would be, not looking good for us. But I can do that in practice. I can talk to a kid like that in practice because that's where you're supposed to get better. And so creating these moments of practice, if AI can be my coach and I can go practice by myself and the AI can beat me up a little bit so that I'm better and ready for the game and I can get into my game mode. So listen, I think that those are some really interesting concepts that maybe AI can bridge that as well.
We've done that, Mark. we have a scenario, and based on the country, the industry, the persona, we dial up the attitude of the AI scenario. And sometimes we mess with the reps, right? Like, oh, okay, hey, enterprise reps, you guys are coming at us saying it's too easy. Try to beat this, and then you make it so that it is difficult, and they do have to really bring their A game even in practice. And I think, to your point, you don't want them to practice on the easiest scenario. You want them to have to practice and use the skills that they are taught. And AI really lets you tune up or down this like specific, how difficult it is to get certified or say that I know how to do this skill. So I love that.
When you're talking about the dialing and customization, are you able to do it as well around like certain skill sets or scenarios or something like that? That's really cool. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
My dream, and like I have a list of things for VJ and the team, and I think they're probably sick of me, but I will keep telling them what we need. My dream is that AI is not only looking at my sales forecast and pipeline and what I need to sell. It's looking at our employee learning center and where we have all of our employee credentials and sales skills and all the trainings that they've taken. It's taken the two things and saying, Michelle, you really suck at C-level. You never understand who the stakeholder is, and you're terrible at negotiating when the deal is at this stage and at this amount against this competitor. And I would love to take a blend of those things and provide them the right types of scenarios. Today, that's a little bit more for the enablement team to have to create. That's for us to have to design and think of the different scenarios we want people to go through. Where I think the model is headed is using data of their forecast, their pipeline, their targets, where they are strong and weak, and then building that scenario based on each person's role and skills. That's my dream, VJ. Just write that down.
Definitely. And I think like these are the scenarios we want to solve, and that's why Zoom is involved in it, right? I mean, if the tool is already there and it is already solving all of this problem, Zoom might have not been interested in this tool. We think like we can revolutionize it, right? So, and I think like the AI is in a place where it can do. And 3-4 years ago, I don't think like we were there. And now is the time. And it will just get better and better in helping people be more productive, right? So I can be a broken record saying all of that, but Michelle, we are thinking about all of those. We are taking your points seriously. So.
This is
part of what I love.
This is recorded, so I will use this in the future meetings.
Definitely. No, part of what I love about this conversation, and I say this oftentimes to companies, you guys are clearly eating your own dog food. And anytime I see a company that's eating their own dog food, I see typically a product that is hands above companies that are not doing that. I've learned that firsthand. Like when you build a product for what you want to do and what you need to be able to use to be able to succeed, then you're going to typically build a world-class product versus what, somebody that's building something they're not using internally or not eating their own dog food on. So it's fantastic hearing all of these tidbits out of that. And I keep coming back to and thinking as we go through all of this, that we're maybe giving like the sales leaders and coaches a little bit too much leeway by saying like they're overstretched, they don't have enough time, they've got too much on their hands. When in reality, I think a lot of them are probably like me, they really don't like doing this. And so having a tool that can do that and not just take that off of their plate, but anytime you're doing something you don't like doing, it's not going to be prioritized. You're not going to give it the time and attention that you really need. So wondering if you guys are seeing something similar on your side.
Are you asking me if our sales managers don't want to do their job?
I was talking more about your customers and as you're going out and pitching this. I will try and keep you out of trouble.
You're spot on. You're spot on. Either you want to be a manager or you're in the role and you have a million things to do. Either way, the stats are the stats. They are the hardest working, probably least amount of time, a million things to do. That is the hardest job, I think, especially right now, is coaching and leading teams through a market most people have never seen, through extremely difficult times. And how I sold 10 years ago is not going to work. So who am I to coach 10 people looking at me and I don't even know what to do? So I think that I don't think that we're making it easy for them. I think it's a fair statement to say that they have a lot on their plate, and it also helps us guide them because they got to take all that stuff out to the field. Now, some people don't like doing it. You're right. They're not good at it. Maybe they've never seen it. It's not something that they want to do, but this helps, right? If 60% of what I need you to do is written for you, documented for you, and you got to have one conversation versus 10, that puts you in a better position to want to do that coaching piece too.
Listen, I hate the sports analogy, but it's a decent, it makes a lot of sense, right? But there's the coaching that you do to know what to do in the game, and then there's the coaching that you need in the game, right? So like a manager has enough coaching to do already to prep somebody for a meeting, to help them understand that is your deck ready to go? Like, are you going to get the right kind of outcome if you do it this way? That, to also have to do the coaching in the meeting or after the meeting is tough. Like, so maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but like if I see somebody that I can do a call with that's an AI and I can practice that call, they can tell me whether the plan that my manager put together with me, actually I was able to execute on it. Versus right now, a lot of what's because of the time constraints, the best a manager can do in most cases is get the plan ready and then hope the rep executes well, because there's no place to practice that execution. Because with 10 or 12 reps, which is the typical span a frontline manager has, and if every rep has 2 or 20 or 30 deals open at a time, and let's say most deals are meeting like once a week, a manager can't prep and see the execution on 150 to 300 meetings a week. That just doesn't work. And so that's where like we need some help here if we're going to try to take sales enablement and sales execution to another level. It can't stay where it is because the coaching constraint is too great and it's too expensive to bridge the gap with humans.
So, Michelle, something that you had spoken about a few times was the variability in who's doing the coaching for you. So, like, you're going to typically coach or train relative to your preferred style or where you've had success in the past. And obviously, that's mostly on the qualitative side of things. I imagine you guys are giving some quantitative feedback, which, of course, is difficult to do in more standard coaching models. Would love to hear what you guys are doing on that front.
So there's two things I think that when you look at sales manager coaching that are important. The AI piece is going to give me some of that like insights and feedback, and then I can turn it into what I need to turn it into. What we also do is we're seeing, hey, I'm going to use random numbers. There's 500 managers. You are having these kinds of coaching conversations with your reps this many times a week on these topics where we've already had them practice, and we are then seeing it increase revenue or additional products being sold, or you're using the right pitches and the right decks. So we not only do we have the stats to give them on the skill set of their sellers and what we want them to be strengthened on, we're also looking at coaching as a whole. We're also trying to, like, we're not just looking at the rep, we're looking at who's a good manager, right? Like, are you managing correctly? Are you using the coaching framework that we've told you to use? Are you having those conversations? Are you in the one-on-one that you have with your rep where you should be coaching efficiently? So it's those numbers of who's doing it in the correct manner also get shared within our organization as well.
That's awesome. And of course, anytime that you're sharing that kind of data, you need to have people proactively using it the right way. Do you guys give any sort of guidance or suggestions or anything like that on how to most effectively use that? Because of course, what you don't want to wind up with is where they're taking that and just slapping people's hands on it, where instead of using it as a active coaching technique or tool.
Yeah, the tool which we sorry, Michelle, if I I think the tool we built provides you a score, right? I mean, it's not perfect. It has a lot of contextual stuff. but it is getting a lot better and better, right? I mean, our view is it should be able to match the humans, right? And once it matches humans, then it becomes a lot more easier for you not to wait for that call. You can quickly take the call again with the AI. It has infinite time, right? As long as you have time, it has time, right? So and you can try it more and more, and you can look at the score, and you can look at it objectively. But Michelle, go ahead.
I had a really good point, and I forgot what was the question. I totally forgot. I'm so sorry.
I was talking about the quantitative side of things and helping to equip those managers with some suggestions on how to proactively use that data to be able to coach, as opposed to just slapping people on the wrist or whatever whenever things aren't going well.
So thank you so much. So I think I can give a relevant example of Zoom. I think the reason why our sellers are so good at Zoom meetings is because they live in them. I think the reason why they can sell Zoom phone to anybody is because they use it all day. That was the same type of enablement, and for us, our strategy. You will use Zoom IQ for sales. This is your new tool. This is how you coach as a manager. This is how you use it day to day. Like, you don't have an option. So I know you said eat our own dog food, but I like to drink our own champagne. And so we didn't give people that option. You will use this. It will get better over time. Your feedback and how we use it matters. So that's what's going back to the product team and the AI team every day. And you see better adoption when not only of them using the tool, but then when they're going and talking to their customers and prospects, they understand the value, right? Like, at first, everyone was like, what is this? Why are you doing this to me? Like, I don't know how I feel about this. Now everyone's like, hey, can you help me? This call went really well. I want to share it with others. Hey, manager, you weren't able to be on this call, but how do we analyze this together? Like, we have changed the culture, I feel like, substantially in using it every day and saying, like, you have to model this behavior, which then is obviously going to help our sellers in positioning the product as well.
One follow-on on the quantitative side of things, are you guys incorporating any post-call deal type opportunity data into this for an optimization standpoint? So as far as like, hey, did that rep after their training or whatever, especially if you're incorporating this into the actual live calls they're doing with customers, are you actually tying that into actual success of did that deal progress? Did they agree to a second meeting type of things?
Yeah, so right now we don't, but like in the future, that's the future which I was talking about, where like I'm super excited about that future, where like we can in real time help the reps, and also after the call. I mean, depending upon what your preferences, like whether you want like feedback right there, show some direction where they can go, versus after the call, like provide a summary, etc. Right, so. That's where it is going, and we are going, and I'm super excited about that path.
And I can't wait to use the AI metrics to prove out enablement programs. So I think for anyone in enablement, it's game changer right there. Like, we have been using the same metrics for longer than I've been alive, and now it's like real. Did this happen in the deal? Did they say what they needed to say it when they needed to say it to the right person? And it's like, we just have never had that.
Awesome. So catch me up. Is this live right now and available for people? Are you in beta? What's the status of this for the audience that's like super excited and wondering when and where and how can they get their hands on it?
It's right now in beta. It should be available we are planning to go GA anytime soon, probably next month or so. So we announced it back in January, and since then it's been in beta. There are things which we are fixing, like any other things, right? So being realistic, I think like next month or so you should be able to use. But I mean, internally, we've been trying out.
So, I mean, we touched on it a little bit, but where do you see the direction of this going? Not in a year or two, but 5, 10 years out. Like, what's the role of AI in all of this, and how, as with everything, it's going to get tightly integrated, and we'll look back on it and say, like, how do we actually separate these two out? But it's typically kind of hard to look forward and say who's going to own which pieces of it and how's it all going to fit together. So I'm fascinated to hear kind of your guys' take on where's this going to be in 5 or 10 years.
Mark, you want to take this?
I don't know if I'm.
What is your ideal scenario in 5 years? Just tell us.
I don't know if I'm qualified to say where it's going. I can definitely tell you where I would love it to go.
Yeah.
So, man, I think, we talked about some bottlenecks that naturally take place due to time constraints and stuff like that. I have seen technology that allows you to kind of monitor real-time conversations and add in stuff into that conversation that supplements reps, memory, or maybe it presents new ideas that they weren't aware of to help explain things. I've seen that be mildly valuable. It's really difficult when you're in the middle of a talk track to incorporate something that just pops on the screen all of a sudden and just start talking about it. So that's really tough. But like for me, I think like what I would be most interested in for AI is when we go into a call, most of the time we have a strong understanding of what we need to accomplish. And we have we get more and more detailed with the funnel, and seeing how AI can help us understand, were we successful in that conversation, achieving the outcome we wanted, or were we not? And ultimately, like right now, we're just guessing on if an individual conversation did what it was supposed to do, or there's a bunch of extreme bias that's given based on human feedback. And for AI to help us figure out what is the success rate of a conversation or parts of a conversation, to help us begin to see who are our best conversators, so that we can make sure that the people that need help can get the help that they need. That's what I'm most interested in seeing AI do is how do we make the only way that we can make the people that aren't as good as the ones that are is if we can actually identify which people aren't that good and what they're doing differently than the ones that are great.
So were you suggesting that we would have forecasting that's better than a coin flip?
We should definitely have a forecasting better than a coin flip. But so the challenges with these tools is the data, right? I mean, how well the data is, but these newer models are much better with very little data, right? So that's why I think the future is now, right? I mean, and a lot of what Mark was talking about is so should be achievable in the near future. And I also believe the productivity of people will be a lot different year 2, 3, 4 years from now, right? So
awesome. So we're getting close to the end, but there's a really good question from William on LinkedIn. I want to make sure that we've got plenty of time to get to. And so William was asking, so if you're a rep, even if you're a leader, and you're trying to go and pitch that you need AI help, you need an AI tool to be able to, drop into and integrate with what you guys are doing internally. And you've got a leadership team that's extremely wary, reluctant to have these types of conversations. What's your guys' take? What advice do you have for those people trying to run this up the flagpole and get buy-in when there's oftentimes a lot of reluctance or resistance around it?
I would love to answer this because I just went through this 3.5 years ago. I was that reluctant leader, and somebody on my team actually came to me and they're like, we need AI and we need this thing. And I'm like, you're crazy. This is a robot and I'm not comfortable. And I had like conspiracy theories. I'm a very traditional girl from the Midwest. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. Right. So what my team did was a pilot. And I would just tell you this. you can only try. And so if the vendor is willing to work with you, if the vendor can help prove with 1 rep, 2 reps, just yourself, a specific team, if you can show, hey, I tried this and look what it did for us in just, this scenario. What if we took this to scale? That's what my team did, and I'm really glad they did, because it did change my mind. It did open up so many things. The follow-on of all the AI and all the modernization that we did has been amazing. So it was just that really brave couple of people who piloted and brought it to reluctant leaders that got it forward. Now, you got to find the right champions too. So like, not everyone is reluctant. There are people sitting in your leadership team who are like secretly waiting for you to find ways to beat out the competition. And this could be a way that you do. I think it's all in how you present it, but I would say start small, pilot, build the case, and just, and keep trying. I don't think there's ever anything wrong with trying, because in a year or two, any company not using AI is out of the game. So I think it's also a time where people will be more open to it.
They used to ask, the car manufacturer used to say, why would I do an assembly line? The stockbroker used to say, why would I use the internet to do my trading? Like, I hate to say it, buddy, but if people are saying we shouldn't buy sales tools and AI for sales, like, get out while you can.
Yeah, it's definitely
ridiculous.
It's
just ridiculous. It's ridiculous posture for a leader to take. Hey, you know what? Shit's going to stay the same for probably another 2 decades, so we don't need to do anything besides sit here. I mean, come on. I feel sorry for William. William, hit me up, homie, on LinkedIn. I'll make sure you get into a decent job, because you're looking at things the right way.
No, I definitely get where you're coming from, Martin. I think you're spot on with it. But I think on the other side of it, as somebody that's been in and around AI and B2B for 15 plus years, there's been a whole lot of really, really big promises that did not deliver. And so if you're one of those companies that shelled out like a ton of money for an Everstring or a Mentigo or something like that never delivered on its promises, then it's not necessarily like, hey, I don't believe in things moving forward to this being a need. It's just like, there's been so many promises with AI and B2B for so long now. And so there's a lot of people that have been burned on that side of things. And so I think you're spot on, Michelle. Go ahead.
But no MP3 player kept its promise either until the iPod. So I mean, like, that's called technology, man. Like, stuff in the beginning doesn't work. So take your time, but keep your eye on it. But to be resistant to it is not a good stance.
Yeah.
But I think that's where you're spot on, Michelle, is like, if you can pitch them on a MVP, on a pilot, on something like that, and be able to come in and an additional step or point on that side that's been instrumental in my success when I've tried to do something like that. Whenever you do it, like, start small. Like, have your crack 2-3 reps or managers or whatever that are bought into it, that are going to provide good feedback. There's going to be a lot of good back and forth on stuff like that. Set yourself up for success. Like, don't go too wide. Don't bring too many people in. Don't bring people that aren't already bought in on it, stuff like that. So you got to structure it well to be able to have that do the work that you need it to.
And to your previous question about like, where are we going in 5 years? We're all about to step our game up. You're not going to be able to have a good territory and a lucky day and a lucky customer. Like, you will have to use AI to be a better rep, to be a better manager. So use yourself. Be the pilot. Hey, I killed it. I'm #1 rep. I'm going to champion club. I'm the best that you've ever seen. You know why? Because this is what I was doing. Like, I would just, like, if they're reluctant, do it yourself. That's what I would tell you to do. And if you get in trouble, I'm very sorry, but I will help you find a new job.
All right. Well, we are coming up on the end of it right now. So we will have a recap that will go out to everybody with the recording. You can get back to any of us. We'll pass off any replies or any questions you have. Make sure somebody gets back to you.
Jason, You want to know what the recap is? VJ and Michelle are hogging cool tech and not letting anybody else use it, and now they're just waving it in front of everybody's face. So
No,
let's talk to Zoom and tell them to let's get busy, y'all.
We're busy.
We wanted it to be perfect before you see it.
Like, you know how in Fashion Week in Paris, first it hits the runway and then you can buy it. And that is what we are doing right now.
To Mark's point, we will make sure we get a notification out to everybody as it's available so that all these people that got super excited on this can actually go get their hands on it and start doing those pilots that Michelle was talking about. But this has been fantastic, guys. I love the conversation. Super excited to get to play around with this myself and see what you guys have cooked up.